We've spent 10 weeks together, 10 songs, 10 emotional themes, 10 conversations about grief, attachment, healing, identity, and everything in between. And if you've been here from the beginning, I want to acknowledge something. Most of what we've talked about wasn't created by these episodes. It was already inside you. The song simply gave it language. And today's episode is about exactly that. The things inside us that haven't found words yet. The things sitting in our draft folder. The emails we can't send. Welcome back to the Weekly Fix. I'm John, a licensed social worker and therapist. And this is episode 10, the season 1 finale. One last song, one final emotional theme, and one invitation. Let's get into it. Sabrina Carpenter released Emails I Can't Send in July of 2022. The album became one of the most acclaimed projects of her career. But what makes it clinically fascinating isn't the music. It's the concept. Sabrina wrote private emails, real emails, to people who shaped her life. Her father, former relationships, the internet, even herself. And instead of sending them, she turned them into songs. Sabrina said she was writing emails to herself when she realized that's the name of the album. And honestly, that sentence explains the entire episode. Because sometimes the person we need to be the most truthful to is ourselves. This episode is for anyone with a notes app full of unfinished thoughts, anyone who started a text and deleted it, anyone who's rehearsed conversations in their head, anyone who's been honest privately, but not publicly. Stay with me. Before we talk about the song itself, I want to talk about where it appears. Because it's not number 7, not 11. It's track 1. The very first thing listeners hear. That's important. Because before Sabrina tells any story, she gives us the framework. The message is simple. I have things I need to say, but I can't say them yet. So I'm starting here. That's not just good songwriting. That's good therapy. The album has 3 emotional chapters. Chapter 1, direct confrontation. The truth that needed to be said. The hurt, the betrayal, the anger. Chapter 2, complexity. The confusion, the contradictions, the unfinished feelings. And chapter 3, integration. Acceptance, understanding. Nothing left to prove. Nothing left to decode. The title track is built around piano. Minimal production. No distractions, no performance. It sounds like someone sitting alone with the truth they've been carrying for a long time. And that's exactly what this song is. This song isn't really about an email. It's about expressive writing. Psychologist James Pennebaker spent decades researching what happens when people write about emotionally significant experiences. The results were remarkable. People who wrote honestly about difficult emotions often experienced improved emotional regulation, reduced stress, greater clarity, improved well-being. Not because writing solved the problem, because writing helped organize the experience. The therapeutic value is not sending the message. It's in writing it. The draft itself matters. The nervous system benefits from translating emotions into language. The title track centers on Sabrina's experience of witnessing betrayal in her family, specifically her father's infidelity. But the song isn't really about what happened. It's about how what happened continued to live inside her. The pattern is usually childhood experience, relationship beliefs, emotional wounds, words that need expression, the draft, and finally the healing begins. Sometimes the processing needs to happen before the conversation. The draft isn't avoidance. The draft is the work. This episode is for anyone carrying an apology that was never received, a conversation that never happened, a truth that never got spoken, a feeling that never found language. Not because you're avoiding it, but because you're still processing it. Research consistently shows that writing changes the way the brain processes emotional experiences. Why? Because emotions live differently once they are translated into words. Writing creates structure, meaning, narrative. This distinction matters. Rumination circles. Processing moves. Rumination asks the same question repeatedly. Processing creates understanding. There are 6 important moments across this album. Number 1, the refusal to rush forgiveness. Healing isn't pretending you're okay. Sometimes honesty comes before forgiveness. Number 2, lying to your therapist. One song includes the admission, I've been lying to my therapist. And honestly, that's one of the most psychologically honest moments on the album. Because many people hide the thing they need the most help processing. Number 3, emotional exhaustion. The title track includes a powerful image. Sometimes I wish I kept most of my feelings in the basement. That's emotional depletion. The feeling of carrying too much for too long. Number 4, public shame. Several songs process experiences that couldn't realistically be addressed directly. So they became music instead. That's emotional transformation. Number 5, conflicting truths. Some situations don't have solutions, only realities. The work becomes learning to hold both truths at once. Number 6, nothing left to decode. The album ends with a simple realization. The point wasn't to find every answer. The point was finally saying the thing. I want to come back to one lyric. I've been lying to my therapist. Because that line represents something many people experience. The thing we hide isn't usually the most dramatic thing. It's the thing we're embarrassed by. The thing we think we should be over. The thing that doesn't fit the story we've been telling. And healing often begins the moment we stop editing ourselves. I've realized something while creating this series. Every episode has been a form of expressive writing. A song names an experience. You recognize yourself inside it. And something shifts. That's processing. That's the frequency working. Season 1 in one sentence. Drake. The burden of carrying everything. Chris Brown. The cycle that keeps pulling you back. Taylor Swift. The armor built for survival. Olivia Dean. loving without holding on. Scissor, hope during exhaustion. Rod Wave, grief that doesn't have a deadline. Justin Bieber, learning to trust safety. Giveon, the cost of emotional distance. Billie Eilish, finding yourself beneath the role. And today, Sabrina Carpenter, what to do with everything you've been carrying. This week's reflection question is also the question that closes the season. If you were going to write an email you couldn't send, what would the subject line be? Not the whole email, just the subject line. What's the thing you've been carrying? Here's this week's reframe. The unsent email is not a failure of courage. It's often the beginning of healing. The draft matters. The naming matters. The honesty matters. Long before the message is ever delivered. This week, write an email. Not to send, just to write. 5 minutes, 1 page, 1 subject line, 1 honest truth. That's it. Sabrina Carpenter ends her album with a realization. There's nothing left to decode. Not because every problem got solved. Not because every relationship got repaired. But because the truth finally found language. 10 episodes, 10 emotional themes, 10 conversations about what it means to be human. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from this season, it's this. The things you're carrying deserve somewhere to go. Music gave them language. Now give them space. This has been the Weekly Fix. And this week's fix was Sabrina Carpenter's Emails I Can't Send, and the psychology of expressive writing, emotional honesty, and the healing power of an unsent message. Thank you for spending season 1 with me. And remember, music is like medicine. Here's your fix. Be sure to click on the link in the description to check out all of our playlists on Spotify. The frequency fix is for educational and informational purposes only. This content does not constitute therapy, clinical advice, or a therapist-client relationship of any kind. If this season surfaced something that feels difficult for you to process alone, please reach out to a licensed mental health professional in your area. If you're in crisis, call or text 988 for immediate support.